Hi, welcome to the video on closures in JavaScript. Before jumping right into the closure, we'll go through function scope and nested function first. Function scope. The variable defined inside a function will not be accessible outside the function, which is very simple, and I'll explain that later in the code. Nested function is a function which is defined within another function, that is the enclosing function. Closure. Closure is created when a child function keeps the environment of the parent scope even after the parent function has already executed. Bit interesting. Now let's jump into the code and I'll explain these concepts in that. Yeah, here. What is a function scope? Let's see here. Where GSV is a variable which is a global variable which will be accessible in this entire page. So we will define a function now, that is by name sample function, sample fun, and inside sample fun function there is a variable by name fsv. So that is a local variable of that function. So if I try accessing that function outside the function, what will happen? I can access this function here itself. I can show you that by writing a small code. So as this call for FSV is inside the function, without any errors it will be executed. So now the same thing is done here, but this is outside the function. We'll see that in the console window what will happen. See, this is a global scope variable that runs, but what is happening here? Uncaught reference error, FSV is not defined. You can see that here, FSV, there is an issue here, it's not defined. As simple as such. So if you ask me why this particular thing did not get executed, because I'm not calling this function here, that's it, simple. So you got to know, right, what is a function scope? This is the function scope. Inside this bracket, whatever is there, that is function scope. Let's move on to nested functions. Here in nested function, which is very simple, there is a function written inside a function. So this becomes the member function of this function. So there are two functions here. PF is a parent function, CF is a child function. So child function is inside the parent function. So how we can call the child function? We can call the child function inside the parent function scope. How we can call the parent function? Outside the parent function scope. This function is called nested function. 10 is being printed, so from where that came from, you can see this here clearly. Parent function, a variable a is initialized with the number 10, and that is called inside the function. The console.log a is called inside the child function. We are calling the child function inside the parent function scope, CF here, and the parent function itself is called outside the parent function scope. When this function is called, here the execution will come, and this is initialized, then this function is called here, so it will go here and print this one. So that is why 10 is being printed. Now we will go back to code and let's try to understand what is closure. Closure is created when a child function keeps the environment of the parent scope even after the parent function has already executed. Okay, I'll try to explain this with an example. Function driving eligibility. So I'm taking an example. In different countries, the eligibility to get a driving license years are different. For example, in India here it is 18. So this is the primary function which is returning another function. So in JavaScript, the JavaScript supports function returning another function. The returning function is not having any function name. You need to observe this here. It is just returning with function, that's it. So both the function, like the parent function or the primary function, is having a parameter that is eligible age. Here I will send the eligible age, which is with respect to that particular country, 18, that I'll show later. And here I'll send the year of birth, like 1993 or 2000 example. So these are the variables which will be helpful in UI part, that's it. So the primary function is here, which is returning a function, and the function body is here. Implementation is done here. What is done here? dt is equal to new date. What is happening here? Current date at this instance will be loaded in dt. So we want only year from that, so dt dot get full year minus year of birth. For example, now it's 2020 minus year of birth is 1993, his age will be 27. So if the age is greater than eligible age, for example 18, then the person is eligible for getting a driving license. So he can apply for that. So that's the implementation. If he is not, if he is under the age 18, he is not eligible, that's it. It will say you have 5 more years to get eligible for this and this. Okay, you got it. Now we have two way of calling this. So we have one way, that is am I eligible is equal to. So what is happening here? We are initializing a variable with a function. So this will return a function that will get saved in this. Okay, so coming here, driving eligibility 18, so this will be called and these things will be executed. Along with that, it will return a function. So this function, return function, will be saved in this particular variable. So when I call it again, console.log, that particular function with a parameter passing in it, that means 1993 will be passed here. Using that, this execution starts. While execution is happening, we are using eligible age here. See, eligible age is from the parent function scope that is being used here. So along with that, you are eligible, you have to get. These are all the 4 simple variables which are again used in the child function. So the possibility of getting the variables of the parent function in the child function even after the parent function is returned is called a closure. The possibility is called closure. So I'll show this now in the console window. So you are 27 and you are eligible to apply for your driving license. So it's working fine. Closure is implemented now. Going back to code, I need to comment something over here. Save this. So this is one way of calling a function with the closure. What we did here is we are calling the returned function, this function. We can call it as a child function. This function we are calling here. That's it. There is one more way we can do that. Here it is. Console.log. Forget this part. What we are doing, driving eligibility is the function we are calling along with the 2 parameters. First parameter is for this function, the second parameter is for the returned function. So will this work? Of course this will work. I'll show that in console window how it works. Refresh. You have 11 years to get eligibility for driving license. So here is a task for you to try out. What happens if there are multiple calls to the inner function? Solution for this will be in the description below. Thank you for viewing this video. I hope you have understood what is closure in JavaScript. Thank you.